Hello everyone, welcome aboard. So today again we have brought you the current affairs from the today's news scenarios. Okay, so this session has been brought to you by Himalaya-IAS, where we have fresh batches getting started for IAS 2021 and KS, both Kannada and English medium batches. If you want to join us, you can visit our website www.himalayaiasclasses.com, or you can reach out to us on 97426 the below given number. So let's get started. We have picked the today's news item from the Hindu, 19th May. Today we are going to talk about the number of COVID-19 cases which have crossed the number of 1 lakh. Then an attempt by Oxford Vaccine Group to create a COVID vaccine. Then next news for today is light combat aircraft, the naval variant of it, the naval variant of Tejas, which is called as Mk1A. The deal for it has been placed by IAF. Then Amhan or Ampan, actually, this has been called. Sorry about this editing mistake. So this is the cyclone which is coming on the east coast of India, and high alerts has been issued. Then, in a nutshell, what about Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, Sedition law, the national energy security, which is getting affected by this reforms which has been launched recently by the Honorable Finance Minister. Then preparing for syndemic, that is another news for today. And lastly, the change in the viral testing strategy. So let's get started with the first news for today is India's number of affected cases in India has crossed the number 1 lakh today. Okay. So just from the sake of facts point, fourth highest cases among all the countries. Average number of new cases are coming every day around 4K, more than 4,000. Okay. In states, Maharashtra has most affected number of patients, followed by Tamil Nadu and Gujarat. Okay, so there are more news to it, but from exam point of view, there's nothing more which I could have taken from today. So that's it with this news item. Next big news is about the Oxford vaccine, which fails to shield monkeys from virus. So the test is going on. So phase 1 of the test, which will get ended by May end, and second phase of the vaccine testing will end by September. Okay, the vaccine which they are trying to develop, it is CHADOX and COV19. So this represents COVID-19, novel coronavirus 19. Okay, and CHADOX is the name of the vaccine. So the trial for this will be completed by first phase by May end and second phase by September. This vaccine uses common cold virus, which is known as adenovirus. See, vaccine works on the principle that weak dosage of the virus that is given to a human body, then the human body itself develops the antibodies against that virus. So after that, even if you get affected that virus, the strong virus, then also your body can fight. So that's the principle. And here the virus which is being used for creating vaccine, that is adenovirus, this carries the genetic material of the novel coronavirus that makes the spike protein. Okay, this is the spike protein actually which binds to the human receptor cells on the surface and creates the infection. Okay, so this is found in chimpanzee. From there we have taken this virus, and in mild doses we are testing it on other persons or monkey. Okay, so again, some results are coming good, some results are not coming good. Here in India, Serum Institute, which is located in Pune, they will be manufacturing this vaccine if it becomes successful. And this vaccine is being developed by Oxford Vaccine Group, and trial on the monkey has failed. That's why it was in news today. Next big news item from today is 83 light combat aircraft Mk1A. Deal is a high priority. That is the statement by IAF, Indian Air Force Chief. Okay, so light combat aircraft, IAF need to set up the second squadron of the light combat aircraft. 83 LCA order has been given for naval variant. So this Mk1A is the naval variant of same LCA light combat aircraft, also famously known as Tejas. Okay, first squadron which was made up of Tejas, that is known as flying daggers. Okay, then this is also part of Make in India because it will help boosting defense production or defense manufacturing in India. This has been indigenously developed, and it has been developed by HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Okay, also IF has placed order for 200 Astra. Astra is indigenous beyond visual range missiles, and HTT-40. HTT-40 is the training aircraft for Indian Air Force. So sometimes they just simply ask you in the examinations, Okay, especially in prelims, like, okay, this is what Astra is, what surface to air missile, or beyond visual range missile, or what is STT-40. Okay, so these are the pieces of information which can be utilized in prelims. Next is the super cyclone, which is coming up. Super cyclone, why? Because the wind speed here is very high. In 1999 Odisha we had a super cyclone. Okay, and it is about to land on the east coast of India, so evacuation process is going on, and NDRF meetings are taking place. NDRF has been dispatched to this place, National Disaster Response Place. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has taken up the meeting of National Disaster Management Authority, which deals with such situation. Also, evacuation process is in place already. They are evacuating the place which are located near the coastal areas. Okay. Next is Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. So whatever big changes have been brought. So total in 5 parts, this Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, which was launched by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, was given. So today's article talks about roughly about 5 parts. I have mentioned all the tranche 1, 2, 3, 4, what type of reforms were introduced. Okay. We'll be coming up with a separate session on these slowly. So MS first tranche or first part of the reform was related to medium, small, micro enterprises and non-banking financial corporations. Next part or tranche 2 of the reforms was related to labor migrants, public distribution system, one nation, one ration card scheme. Third tranche was related to agricultural reforms. The fourth tranche was related to liberalization of FDI policy in defense, space, a lot of strategic, non-strategic sector, even coal, minerals. And the final fifth reform was related to other reforms on a major scale, like related to power sector, related to increasing the budget capacity or borrowing capacity of the state, increasing the allocation for Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Program, to do these themes. Okay. So next article for today's is the sedition law, so which is being used to suppress dissent. So we all know that the right to freedom and speech, which includes the right to freedom of press, is given by Article 19 of the Constitution of India. We have seen recent cases in Gujarat, in Andhra Pradesh, of using sedition law to fight fake news and to suppress the dissent. Which law they are using now? So there are laws in the IPC also, but this time they are using the Section 44 of the Disaster Management Act. Okay, Section 44 of the Disaster Management Act actually penalizes the spreading of panic related to disaster itself. Okay, but using this act, let us say in Gujarat, one instance happens where somebody said that this government will be changed or the chief minister will be changed and some other person will come. So that person was charged for sedition and he was put behind the bars. So that is the misuse of criminal laws to intimidate journalists, which is totally prohibited by the Constitution, and it is protected by the fundamental right of freedom of speech and expression. Okay, so try to remember this Section 44 of Disaster Management Act, but it is not to suppress the dissent. It only penalizes those person who spreads panic related to the disaster only. Okay. Next is article is about national energy security. So the last tranche or tranche fifth of the reforms, which was launched by the Honorable Finance Minister, there she is talking about reforming power tariff policy. Okay, like the rates of the policy, how they will be decided, and also it has proposed to amend the electricity bill. Now, this article talks about what are the problems with the DISCOM or distribution companies first. Okay, so the problem with the distribution company is actually lies with the power purchase agreement and overestimation. So here what happens actually, assume there is a government distribution company. So how much electricity it has to distribute to the people in one particular state, let us say Karnataka. So first it will be estimated by some electricity survey or some other person. So there they will demand, they put a demand, let us say like for 100 units will be needing, and during peak hours will be needing 150. So they will come up with the average policy that, okay, for every month you will be needing at least 200 units. So one fixed amount you have to pay, that DISCOMs, distribution company, has to pay to whom? To power generation companies. Okay, that is called the power purchase agreement. So here two types of rate is there. One is fixed rate, that is based on the estimation. Now that estimation itself is a lot of time is overestimated or wrong. So that's why they end up paying more than they are using. That is the problem. Okay. The next problem with the distribution company is the mandatory renewable purchase obligation. So since to fight this threat of climate change and global warming, Government of India has pushed the use of renewable energy or adoption of renewable energy. Now there the challenge is, let's say once you have the renewable energy, you have to store it for using. The peak demand for energy or electricity comes during the night. So let us say during the daytime, you have the electricity. Now the cost for generation for renewable energy, first, that itself is high. Okay. And that too, in order to store this energy, they have to put extra cost in it. Okay. So I'm not saying that from the article is not saying that from policy perspective this is wrong, but the thing is that burden of extra estimates or money, it goes on the distribution companies. That is why they are not able to perform better. Okay. So this mandatory renewable purchase obligation, that is also a challenge for their poor performance. So now the article talks about what proposals this reform has proposed, okay, to the Electricity Act. First, it is saying that it will provide private sub-franchisee, okay, sort of it will distribution company, some of the work can be given to the private players. So what here it contends, or it argues that the private companies will only come where they can make profit. So already this distribution companies, they are making so much of loss, not just because of their working style, because of the issues involved, as we saw today. Let it be the power purchase agreement, or let it be the uh, mandatory this renewable energy policy. Okay. Then the another reform which is happening is more concession to the renewable power developers. So as we already saw, renewable energy, it puts the distribution companies at loss. So if you are going to give them more concession, then again that cost has to be bared by the distribution company. Another amendment which has been proposed in the reform proposal is eliminating cross subsidy. Cross subsidy is, see, the cost of bringing electricity to the different people is different. Okay. So what government does, it decides a uniform policy, it gives cross subsidy from one to another so that everybody pays somewhat equal amount. Now once eliminating this, so this has been long talked about that we need to eliminate the cross subsidy. So then person has to pay the actual cost of what it is getting. If it comes to that, then let us say the people in the rural area, they are going to pay highest amount because the cost of bringing electricity to them is the highest. Okay. So that can create problem. The article just argues that it has to be gradual. The reforms, proposed reform, they are trying to eliminate the cross subsidy in one stroke, which is not good. Okay. Then the next point or next flaw in the reform proposal, which this article is talking about, is appointment of state regulators by Central Selection Committee. So here actually it is talking about a federal issue, that this state regulation and this power distribution, it has to remain majorly in the state domain. If you put interference by the Central Selection Committee, that is going to create the problem of autonomy. Apart from that, there is also a proposal to create electricity contract enforcement authority, that too also at the central level. So these are the two more challenges which will interfere the working of the state machinery in the power distribution sector. Okay. So this is nothing but proposed reform and mostly their criticism. Okay. Moving to the next, this one small article talks about preparing for a syndemic. So sometimes in UPSC, they simply ask, recently seen in news, what does this term mean? So that's why I included this for today's session. Syndemic is nothing but synergic situation where two or more epidemics interacts synergetically. Synergetically means one helps the other to grow. So WHO is saying that COVID is likely to stay. The world has to learn to live with the COVID. What it is saying that, or this article argues that, see, in such time when one epidemic, it remains for some time, then there are certain secondary bacterial infection which might start happening. Or let us say even if second wave of COVID starts happening. For example, let us say with the COVID, let us say flu season starts in India. People starts getting infected with flu. Now that might help more spread of the COVID itself. So it is like two problems which can help each other to grow. So we need to be prepared for that. Whatever behavioral attitudinal change, what can be done on the ground level, the world has to be ready for it. Okay. The next is the viral testing strategy. So ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, it has revised the viral testing strategy. So the testing strategy for this COVID-19 virus, it is known as RT-PCR, as we will see. So ICMR has released a revised COVID testing strategy. Now all the individuals with symptomatic influenza-like illness, okay, ILI, with history of international travel, or who are the frontline workers, or who are the patients with ILI. ILI is nothing but influenza-like illness symptoms, migrant laborers, they all have to be tested, okay? And it also says that no emergency procedure should be delayed, for example delivery of a child or other some operations, because of this COVID test. If it is not happening, all you can do is just take the sample and send it to the for RT-PCR test. RT-PCR is real-time reverse transcriptase polymerized chain reaction, okay, where the DNA of this virus is taken and then it is tested for the presence of COVID virus, okay. ILI earlier, the symptom for ILI, what has been given in the testing strategy is acute respiratory infection, 38 degrees Celsius body temperature, and symptom of cough. Earlier, the testing was there only for the people with acute respiratory infection, 38 degrees Celsius temperature, but who has to be hospitalized. So now there is no condition for this hospitalization. So these were the basic news items which are relevant from the exam point of view of UPSC. This is the list of do's and don'ts which you can follow in order to maximize your chances of selection in the UPSC Civil Services exam. So thanks a lot for watching us, guys. Please stay tuned. Do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. And we'll be back with tomorrow's current affairs shortly. So thanks for watching.